As is known, the night and morning of February the 25th to the 26th were restless for residents of some regions of the annexed Crimea, Russian Kuban and other regions of the Russian Federation. According to some reports, this was the most massive raid of Ukrainian UAVs on Crimea in recent times. The General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine stated that Ukrainian forces struck a number of strategic facilities of Russian forces in annexed Crimea and the Krasnodar region of Russia. The latest strikes on Crimea were carried out specifically against those Russian aviation assets that interfere with the operations of Ukrainian naval drones in the Black Sea, according to well-known Ukrainian aviation expert Valeriy Romanenko. There were reports of 40 explosions on the territory of the Tuapse Oil Refinery, says Romanenko, and this, by the way, is an area where smoking areas are carefully separated from any fire-hazardous areas. I believe that the damage was serious. As for the airfields, I am not sure because there has been no objective information like satellite images yet. In general, as you know, they struck the airfields of the 43rd Separate Naval Assault Aviation Regiment in Novofedorovka and the 318th Mixed Aviation Regiment in Kacha. In Novofedorovka, there are S-30SM fighters, which, after significant losses of helicopters of the 318th Regiment, are hunting our naval drones. In the 318th Regiment, in addition to the Ka-27, Ka-29, Mi-8 helicopters, which actively hunted drones, there are also Be-12 and An-26 aircraft. The planes patrolled the Black Sea region with the task of detecting our drones, he added. The importance of the destruction of the aforementioned Russian military facilities on the Crimean Peninsula and beyond is generally quite clear. What other fat targets are left there for subsequent strikes by the Ukrainian Defense Forces? About this, Valeriy Romanenko said, "It's hard to say. Probably the same Crimean airfield. They are within the range of our long-range weapons. I would pinch the Russian aviation there a little. First of all, as for the Crimean Bridge, to be honest, shooting at it, say, with Storm Shadow missiles, is not a very good idea. In general, we need to look at the current situation. If we take some headquarters, we have already hit them. I don't know about wasting expensive missiles on them. Air defense, we need to hit it with AGM-88 HARM, American high-speed anti-radar missile, and for this, our planes need to fly very close. However, it is very dangerous for them." The expert told that it is not difficult to shoot down drones. Take the same Russian Shaheds Gerani, which are very high quality. They have a low speed, and if you organize the air defense system correctly, that is, pull up the maximum number of anti-aircraft systems, then the result will be good. The Russians, for example, work well with missiles against drones. Tor modernized Pantsir of the latest modification. But here's the nuance. President Zelenski once said that for every $2 invested in increasing the range of a drone, Russia loses 10. Even if a missile shoots down a drone, it is much more expensive than the drone itself. But it should be taken into account that among them are those that are designed to be shot down, that is, decoy drones. Therefore, you should not pay attention to the total number. Even if 1 out of 10 drones reaches the target, that is already a good result. For example, of all the Russian geraniums during the latest raid, if we believe the reports of our Air Force, only 0.5% reached the target. A few days ago, 1.5%. Unfortunately, we do not have cruise missiles. They, of course, have a higher speed and also have more opportunities to destroy something with a kinetic strike, he added.
British Prime Minister Keir Starmer rallied his European counterparts Sunday to shore up their borders and throw their full weight behind Ukraine as he announced outlines of a plan to end Russia's war. According to Associated Press, Starmer's exhortation to 18 fellow leaders that they need to do the heavy lifting for their own security comes 2 days after U.S. backing of Ukraine appeared in jeopardy when President Donald Trump lashed out at Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and said he wasn't grateful enough for America's support. The meeting had been overshadowed by the extraordinary scolding that took place on live television at the White House. Starmer used the opportunity as part of his broader effort to bridge the gap between Europe and the US and also salvage what had seemed like the start of a peace process before Friday's spat. Starmer said he had worked with France and Ukraine on a plan to end the war and that the group of leaders mostly from Europe had agreed on 4 things. The steps toward peace would keep aid flowing to Kiev and maintain economic pressure on Russia to strengthen Ukraine's hand, make sure Ukraine is at the bargaining table and any peace deal must ensure its sovereignty and security, and continue to arm Ukraine to deter future invasion. Finally, Starmer said they would develop a coalition of the willing to defend Ukraine and guarantee the peace. He said any plan would require strong US backing. He did not specify what that meant, though he told the BBC before the summit that there were intense discussions to get a security guarantee from the US. Starmer said he will later bring a more formal plan to the US and work with Trump.
British Prime Minister Keir Starmer called a summit of European leaders in London a once-in-a-generation moment for the security of Europe. The leaders of European countries and Canada came here after blow-up in the White House between President Trump and President Zelenski left the future of the United States' relationship with Ukraine and Europe in jeopardy. Starmer said he, French President Emmanuel Macron and Zelensky agreed to work on a plan to stop the fighting, which they'll take to Trump. It's not yet clear what exactly that will involve, but the UK Prime Minister insisted it's backed by American security guarantees. Starmer himself has agreed to spend around $2 billion to supply Ukraine with more air defence missiles, but it's not clear what the UK and European countries themselves are prepared to commit. There's little detail on who would be involved in what Starmer called a coalition of the willing and on the number of troops or weapons they'd stump up for Ukraine. And even then, if all the leaders agree on a plan, there's no guarantee Russian President Vladimir Putin will stop fighting and sign up to it.
We've agreed that a group of us will work with Ukraine on a plan to stop the fighting and then discuss how we can deliver a just, enduring peace together, and to make sure Ukraine can defend and deter against any future Russian. And we're going to leave and then we can start the meeting. Thank you.